I feel like one of the biggest things that comes up almost every single week is when are these next gen consoles going to come out? We hear about the RAM shortages. We hear about developers talking about how the next gen consoles are further out than we think. We've also heard about delays that might push these consoles out to several years, including the PS6 coming in 2030. People are saying that it's a lot farther than we think, but now this week, we hear the AMD CEO talking about that they are ready to launch the next generation Xbox in 2027, 1 year away. We hear other people within the games industry talking about how they think the Xbox is at earliest in 2027. Well, I'm here to tell you, I gathered all the information, everything that we know, and I'm putting it into a concise way to talk about this because one of the biggest things coming up right now are these next-gen consoles because it's going to define a lot of what these generations are going to look like and what games we can expect coming out. Because so far, what we've seen this generation is a lot of games seem to be tied to launching on the next-gen Xbox, and Microsoft seems adamant that this console is coming out and they want to tie it to Windows. So let's get into all of this, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because so far, it's looking like these consoles are up in the air no matter how you flip it. Let's do this. All right, so you know the drill. If you want to be up to date on all the gaming news, everything going on in the industry, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel more than you know. So when I came back, I always said that I was going to talk about everything in gaming. I wanted to cover pretty much all the news going on, everything that's been happening. And right now, the thing that seems to be trending a lot are these consoles. And I understand why. A lot of people are truly hyped for this. So far, people from what I've seen have been down the middle. They either want these new gen consoles so they can get better performance, better graphics, and see all these cool games come out attached to this new piece of hardware. And then I see other people saying, I'm actually okay with my Series X or my PS5 or my PS5 Pro. People feel like right now, this generation of consoles hasn't met the criteria or the standard they were setting themselves up for when these consoles launched. A lot of gamers feel these consoles can perform a lot better than what we've been given so far. And I tend to agree with that. I think some of the software can be used a little bit better, but that doesn't mean that the publishers agree. It might mean that Xbox, more importantly, wants to bring out a new console next year in 2027 or maybe 2028. Let's get into the articles and see what they're saying. If the next Xbox is a PC, Microsoft needs to prove it can avoid Windows' biggest problems. The next Xbox is a full Windows PC, that much we know. What we know less is exactly how Microsoft is going to go about it. The next Xbox is still a fair bit away, dropping in late 2027 at the earliest. According to my most recent information, I received details about the next gen Xbox around the same time I exclusively reported on Project Kenan, now known as the Xbox Ally. Microsoft reiterated its commitment to first-party Xbox hardware this summer, revealing a multi-year partnership with AMD, while touting full compatibility with the current Xbox console ecosystem library. My sources detailed to me how the next Xbox is essentially going to be a full Windows PC, albeit with a TV and controller-first interface by default, complete with the ability to install and run third-party stores like Steam, GOG, and Epic. Now, that's a lot to uncover because I do have to admit that a lot of the people talking about this don't understand that when the ROG Ally X from Asus came out, that was one of the things that was first done where a third-party manufacturer like Asus made a product with the Xbox name on it. What does that mean? Well, that means that Xbox was using their hardware as a test tub to see if anybody really wanted, a high-performing handheld console, so to speak, in their hand. The other thing that was mentioned in there was the Windows aspect of this. This next console is going to be Windows, but the one downfall that Microsoft has right now is they don't have a full-screen Windows mode for Xbox's ecosystem on the PC. Does the PC have an app for you to launch, the Xbox app that they have their Game Pass games on and all their library on there? Yes, but they do not have a full-fledged screen where people can use it like a console. That's where I think they're going to start having some trouble because Xbox really wants to start making that interface way more intuitive to the user, to the gamer. They want people to be able to launch it on PC and just be in that Xbox ecosystem and not worry about it. The next part of that was having third-party like Steam, Epic, all the other stores on there for you to enjoy. What people have been noticing, and I've noticed lately, when you launch your Xbox on your PC, aka the app of the Xbox on the PC, all your Steam library that's installed is in there. You can launch it from there. You can look at what you have on there. It's almost like an integrated API has been put into the Xbox to make all of your Steam games show up on there. So if you buy something on a third-party platform, it's still able to be launching on the Xbox. Does it have connective tissue where you get achievements and all that? I don't think so. It's just showing you your library in one concise way. That is something that PC doesn't really have. They have certain software out there that can do that for you, but none of the big publishers are doing that. Steam has aspects of it and really good aspects of it, but I think Xbox is going full force into that to make sure that when people buy their next console, they're able to see their entire library across all of those platforms, which I find kind of cool. Is it going to make people use that Xbox Windows Store? I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's a lot more work they need to do on that for it to be successful. But the one other thing that they brought up was the late 2027 at the earliest. Now, that is a tidbit that I'm a little excited to talk about because AMD's CEO, Lisa Su, mentioned something and articles came out very recently about how they are ready with their chip to launch in 2027. Let's get into the article and see what she says. AMD reveals next-gen Xbox could launch in 2027. CEO says semi-custom SoC ready to support launch in 2027. AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su let out a hint about when a next-gen Xbox could launch during the company's Q4 2025 earnings call. Providing commentary on client revenue, the top executive said, development of Microsoft's next-gen Xbox featured an AMD semi-custom SoC is progressing well to support a launch in 2027. AMD has been a long-term partner with Microsoft on its Xbox consoles. Both the Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles support semi-custom AMD SoCs. More recently, AMD and Microsoft partnered for the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X, and the two companies announced a partnership for the next-gen Xbox console in June 2025. Neither AMD nor Microsoft have confirmed a release window up to this point, but rumors have pointed towards a 2027 for the past several months. In August 2025, leaker Moore's Law is Dead suggested the next-gen APU, reportedly codenamed Magnus, would leverage Zen 6 and Zen 6C CPU cores along with RDNA 5 powered GPU. Now, this coincides with what Jez has been hearing also. Jez Corden, who writes for Windows Central and very prominent writer in the games industry who knows his stuff and probably talks to a lot of people within Xbox. That goes with the it's coming earliest 2027. That sounds like a launch window that we might be looking forward to. But if you remember, during the whole FTC lawsuit with the Activision Blizzard purchase, the lawsuit and all the documents in there said that it was coming in 2028, which again coincides with a lot of the last gen consoles and a lot of the consoles that have come up multiple times. The Xbox 360 lasted for about 8 years. The Xbox One lasted for about 8 years. It hits that 8-year mark where 2020 was the launch date for Xbox Series S and X, so the 2028 launch date seems like about right of when these consoles are going to come out. But I think the one big hiccup that people haven't talked about and what that AMD CEO didn't talk about was the RAM shortages that are happening and how expensive RAM is. That might hurt Xbox in the long run, and it might hurt these consoles in the long run. And that was the whole point of why that PlayStation 6 next-gen console might be rumored to come out in 2030, because people don't want to pay that much for RAM, and the manufacturers, Sony, Microsoft, AMD, don't want to charge up the wazoo for these consoles to come out at $1,000 a pop where no one's going to buy them. You want to keep that market a little bit better. Now, when it comes to Xbox, I think that they don't really care when they launch the console. I think they want to get a new piece of hardware out there because they want to focus on the PC side of things. They want to get that software or that new UI up for what PC is going to look like from full screen, kind of turning your PC into a console format so you can game on it a lot easier. That's what I think they want to do. And they want to do that by bringing out new handhelds, updating the app on the Xbox app for the PC, and of course, making sure that when they launch the next gen console, it feels seamless to console gamers where they don't have to tinker with anything. Because if you're connecting all of those things, all of the Steam, Epic games, everything together into one platform, you got to make sure that it runs properly. So what does that mean? Well, that means they might delay this next gen console that's coming out. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a huge delay. I've always said that I felt that it was going to come out in 2028. That just felt like the right date to me. 2028 sounds like a pretty good date to bring out a new console. It's 8 years after these console generations that had just started, and it feels like it might have somewhat of a big upgrade when we see it. Do I think it's going to be a massive upgrade? No. And that's where I think the problem starts, because if everybody remembers the time when the consoles came out, the Series X, the PS5, everybody talked about RDNA 2, RDNA 3, RDNA 45. And now we're here sitting here talking about RDNA 5, which the article mentions here. However, the leaked slides backs up some of the rumors we've heard since, including the partnership with AMD to use the Zen 6 CPU cores and a Navi 5 GPU. A roadmap that was shared as part of the leaked documents showed Microsoft targeting an early 2026 tape out for Silicon, with the first development kits shipping in late 2026, early 2027. These internal roadmaps are interesting though. Internal plans are always subject to change. Although it sounds like Microsoft is set to launch a next-gen Xbox in 2027, the wording here is important. Sue says AMD is ready to support a launch in 2027, which hedges against AMD outright confirming the release year. The comment came out as part of AMD's prepared remarks for its quarterly earnings call, so the wording is important to take into consideration. And that's true. She doesn't say it's confirmed 2027. She says that we are ready for it. AKA, we're waiting for Xbox to give us the okay. We have been working towards this, and we've been working a lot on the software or the back end side of it with this hardware. Is Xbox going to be ready to make these consoles come out for us, which we have a contract with them? I don't think they're going to be. I think Xbox is going to wait a little while. I know Sarah Bond and a bunch of other executives at Xbox have said the next gen console is happening, which I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to get one more true next generation console. After that, I'm not too sure. Xbox seems to be kind of going different angles with what they want to do with consoles. It doesn't seem like consoles are a priority to them. It seems like the PC is a priority to them. And why wouldn't it be? That's where a lot of growth is. I mean, we just saw a bunch of people talking about Steam, Epic Game Store, all these other things aiming at PC and how many users they have. It is exponentially more than what console users have. Yes, I'm even saying PlayStation and all of them. It has way more users, daily active users, all this stuff playing on their platform and spending money. That's something that Xbox wants to tap into. They want to get into there more often, get people on their platform on PC to play their games. And I think a lot of these big games coming out like Forza Horizon, Fable, Gears of War, Halo, all these big games that are coming out are going to kind of push some of the customers to get on PC and buy Xbox games on there instead of the console. That's my take on it. I don't know if that's going to happen, but so far from the trend that we're seeing, Xbox has even mentioned that PC is where they see most of their growth. Of course it's going to be there because that's where they had untapped potential. And that's why I always say that I think the full screen experience is far more important to Xbox than people realize. I think they want people that play on PC to feel comfortable, and when Xbox console gamers play on that next console, they need to feel comfortable also that they are not losing the experience of that console. So that's something that this article mentions. Again, the Xbox full screen experiment, often shortened to Xbox FSE, is a Windows 11 setting that allows apps to essentially take over the operating system's user experience. It turns the Xbox app into the default interface layer, disabling unnecessary Windows tasks to free up RAM and improve controller-first navigation. It's far, far from perfect though. For Xbox users upgrading from their extremely polished Xbox Series X and S, I worry that an Xboxified Windows experience will feel like an epic step down if Microsoft isn't careful. And that's perfectly explained. It takes over some of the stuff. It kind of puts the Windows stuff away. A lot of the bloat that people talk about on Windows, where games can't run as good as it does on SteamOS, things like that. Windows has a lot of issues, and Xbox and Microsoft know that. And especially when it comes to gaming, it has a lot of issues. So they need to really hone in and optimize what that experience is going to be on these Xbox consoles, because it is going to just be a Windows 11 machine with a lot of makeup on it to make it look like a console. How do they do that? That's up to them. We need to understand that when these things come out, they are going to be tested and scrutinized accordingly, because Xbox from now on does not have the leeway like it did before where it can just make mistakes. I think this does need to come out flawlessly. Not 100% flawlessly. I just think it needs to come out in a good way, launch pretty well, and of course, have games at launch to sell your console, because when the PlayStation 6 comes out, it is going to sell more. That's just the reality of everything. It is. We know it. PlayStation knows it. Xbox knows it. Everybody knows that Xbox is not going to sell as much as PlayStation, because PlayStation only focuses on their console. They launch games on Steam, they launch games on PC, but they don't really care about the ecosystem around it. They're just putting their third-party software, aka their games, on those platforms and making money from it. Xbox is trying to get people from everywhere, not just console, but PC, to be on their platform, which they're having a tough go at it. They need to change some things up, and I think they understand that they need to. Are they going to be able to execute on that? I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to execute that. I think it's going to take a lot of hard work for Xbox to do that. Steam is just running everything. Epic Game Store just kind of released all their numbers. They actually have a lot of people on their platform. Most of that's because of Fortnite. I will admit it's not because of your store. It's because you have a game that's exclusive on your platform that people love to play, so they go on Epic Game Store. Xbox doesn't have any exclusives. They don't. They go on Steam, they go everywhere. I mean, even the platform of Steve and GOG and all these other ones, Epic, they're all going to be on your platform anyways, so there's no exclusives or incentive for people to just buy this console or stay on the Xbox platform. You need to make it worthwhile, aka you need to make the store and that storefront worthwhile for people wanting to stay on that platform. Either way, I think the consoles are still coming out in 2028. I think PlayStation's a little further out, because I think the PS5 Pro has really kind of revitalized that generation for them. It's a pretty powerful piece of hardware, runs games great. Everybody that I know that owns one loves it, and it's online everywhere too. People are just happy. People are trading in their PS5s to get a Pro. So I'm not too sure what they're going to do. I'm sure they want to get the PS6 out as soon as possible, but I also don't think they're really worried about what Xbox is doing, because they know that they're going to outsell them no matter what they do. They kind of have like a blank check on the console verse where they can just, hey, here's the next PS6. It's going to sell well. We have games for you, exclusives. They'll come on PC later. They kind of got into a flow of what they want to do. Their problem is they just need more games to come out because they canceled so many. So let's see if Xbox can make a dent in the console market. And I didn't even talk about the Steam machine that might affect both of those. I think that's a different video. The Steam machine seems like this unknown shadow kind of going over the console space that I'm really intrigued in. I want to see what that looks like, what the Steam machine does, what's the price, what's the power. I think Xbox is waiting on that also. It seems like they wanted to announce something, but I feel like the Steam machine kind of put a wrench into everything, and they want to see what the price of that is and what that looks like, so they can make a better, more educated guess on what they want to do next. But I also want to know what you think about this. Everybody in the comments, go down below. I want to know what you think about the consoles. Are you happy with your Xbox Series X? Are you happy with the Xbox Series S? Or do you have a PS5 or a PS5 Pro? Let me know down below, because that's what I'm really wondering. I still enjoy my Series X. I play most of my sports games on there, and my PS5 has kind of been just sitting there. I haven't really played that many exclusives on there because I just wait for them to come on PC. And of course, I'm mainly on PC, so it doesn't really matter. I'm more intrigued to get a Steam machine because I love Steam, and I think that the Steam machine is going to be something a little bit different. I want to see how that works out. So let me know, are you guys going to even get a Steam machine? Are you going to do something else? What are you looking forward to? Do you want a next-gen console, or are you okay with the consoles that we have currently? Go down below and let me know. And like always, if you like the content, hit that subscribe button and that like button. It's help the channel more than you know. And you can follow me on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing the latest news. Plus, I like interacting with everyone there. So go to Twitter and hit follow on that. And of course, let me know what you've been playing. I've been playing a lot of High Guard, Apex Legends, kind of multiplayer games lately. I really enjoyed the shooter aspect of everything, kind of going into rank mode, playing Counter-Strike. High Guard kind of unlocked this like FPS in me that I just want to go and play against people and have all this fun times. And that 5v5 they put in High Guard really changed the game. It is so much better than people think. That 3v3 I feel kind of hurt it a lot at launch, but now with this 5v5 mode, it feels really good. I hope the game has some life to it, but I'm not sure it's going to last that long, especially with the way they launched it and everybody just all over it because, man, that optimization does need some help, but the 5v5 mode is pretty good. So let me know what you're playing down below because I like knowing what everybody plays. Plus, it gives me an idea of what I should play next. And that's all for now. And like always, until next time, enjoy your gaming. Later.